Ladakh, India, November 2012. During the previous 2 months, there have been reports of more than 150 UFO sightings in a remote region near the border with China. One account in the Times of India described how yellowish lights appeared to lift off from the horizon on the Chinese side and slowly traverse the sky for 3 to 5 hours before disappearing. Ladakh lies in the Himalayas, the world's highest mountain range, and one of the most inaccessible regions on Earth. The Indian government investigated the claims, suspecting the UFOs to be Chinese drones patrolling the area. But the descriptions of the UFOs didn't match any known model of Chinese drone. Without explanation, the matter was declared closed.
A number of UFO reports that come in are actually military aircraft that civilians see and have no idea what they're looking at.
Were the UFOs in Ladakh alien spacecraft? If so, could they have had a base somewhere high in the Himalayas? It seems an ideal place to hide. The world is full of remote locations, places virtually inaccessible to the public. Could extraterrestrials be hiding in some of these remote sites? If so, who was on Earth first, humans or aliens?
They live inside planet Earth. The weather began to change, the climate began to deteriorate, began to get colder, and these creatures migrated to warmer and warmer spots inside the Earth. They survived. They survived for millions of years, and when they made their way back to the surface of the Earth, bingo! What did they see? Human beings.
Unsealed case file. The Kincaid Expedition. March 1909, the Phoenix Gazette published 2 articles chronicling the explorer G.E. Kincaid's expedition into the Grand Canyon. Kincaid claimed to have uncovered a hidden underground city full of artifacts that appeared to be of Egyptian origin, hieroglyphic writing and mummified remains that were stored in burial chambers. Experts from the Smithsonian visited the site to verify Kincaid's account. But on completion of their investigation, the site was suddenly declared off limits, and the entrance to the cave was sealed off. Public access is banned to this day. The underground city was never mentioned again. The 2 stories printed in the Phoenix Gazette remain the only published accounts. Why would the Smithsonian cover up such an astounding archaeological find? And why has public access been banned? Apache, Zuni, and Hopi legends speak of strange humanoid creatures living in underground cities. These creatures are said to have saved humanity from a natural disaster that threatened to extinguish all life on Earth.
These ancient people had wisdom well beyond their years. So it begs the question, was there outside consultation? And could that have been from somebody with a bigger perspective on our little world?
These beliefs are not unique to North America. Many ancient cultures living oceans apart share strikingly similar tales. Cave drawings and hieroglyphics seem to show ancient peoples living and working with extraterrestrials, often referring to them as gods. Were these stories told for the protection of humanity, or to hide ancient alien activity on Earth?
One of the biggest unanswered questions about ancient civilizations and their connection to extraterrestrials is, would they make a record of it? And I think humans would absolutely make a record of aliens or extraterrestrials from another planet visiting and helping us.
The Mayans documented their apparent extraterrestrial encounters in great detail. The best-known example is the Pakal sarcophagus that many believe shows an alien astronaut piloting a spacecraft. But the Mayans did much more than depict stories of extraterrestrial travel. Throughout the Mayan region of Mexico, large sinkholes are plunged deep into the earth. Called cenotes, they are sacred to the Mayan religion. The Mayans believed they could speak to the gods through cenotes. and even travelled to the underworld known as Xibalba, or Place of Fear. Are cenotes a Mayan vision of the home of the gods? Or were their gods actually aliens? In Europe, underground networks called Erdstall tunnels cover vast distances. Loosely translated, Erdstall means place in the earth. The exact number of such tunnels is unknown, as new passages continue to be discovered, including one that reopened an age-old mystery. Unsealed case file: the Freiburg Tunnel. Freiburg, Germany, 2011. A new tunnel opening was discovered on a farm, but the location reminded many UFO experts of another infamous event. In 1936, Freiburg was the alleged site of a mysterious UFO crash. Some believe that Nazi scientists recovered advanced technology from the wreckage and then reportedly probed its secrets to create a new generation of superweapons.
During the 1930s and 1940s, the Nazis were making huge leaps forward with technology. One of the biggest pieces of technology that they had created was called the V-2 rocket. Now, the V-2 rocket was so highly advanced, it could actually deliver a weapons payload onto Great Britain.
Was the Freiburg Tunnel a UFO base? And if it was, were the aliens working with the Nazi government or against them? Remote locations are ideal places to conduct top-secret experiments away from public scrutiny. The unforgiving desert of the Australian outback offers the kind of deep cover governments sometimes seek. Unsealed case file: Pine Gap. Its official name is the Joint Defence Research Space Agency, but it's better known as Pine Gap. Established in 1970 as a satellite tracking station, it is jointly run by the Australian and American military. But over the years, some believe that Pine Gap has changed its use and is now a top-secret testing facility for alien technology, retrieved from UFO crash sites. But is there a difference between what the military tells you it knows and what it really knows? It is rumoured that the Pine Gap complex runs as deep as 5 miles into the Earth. But what goes on there remains unknown. Despite all efforts to keep Pine Gap a secret, a series of unexplained events has put the base under scrutiny. Locals have reported seeing mysterious white discs, 30 feet in diameter, floating in the sky near the base. Experts have come to the conclusion that they may in fact be man-made UFOs. Others believe they were constructed with direct assistance from aliens living and working in the labyrinth beneath the base. Evidence of the top-secret work underway at the base was collected from the most unexpected source. On the 15th of March 1991, the Space Shuttle Discovery was passing over the area when its cameras picked up something astonishing. The footage showed a massive UFO travelling at an estimated speed of 50,000 miles per hour, nearly 3 times the shuttle's top speed at launch. Some believe the UFO was the product of top-secret work at the base. But if aliens are working at remote sites like Pine Gap, are they friend or foe? At secret bases like Pine Gap in the Australian outback, some believe that aliens are helping scientists build futuristic aircraft and weapons. But are these aliens our allies? Evidence allegedly exists that humans and aliens may have already engaged in combat deep inside one of the most closely guarded bases on Earth. Unsealed case file: the Battle of Dulce. Dulce, New Mexico, 1977. Mutilated cattle had been discovered. The cuts had been made with surgical precision, beyond the capability of any known technology. The bizarre crimes caught the attention of the Albuquerque-based physicist and UFO researcher Paul Benowitz. During his independent investigation, he was introduced to a woman who claimed to know what was behind the bizarre crimes. Under hypnosis, she revealed to Benowitz that she and her son were abducted by aliens and taken to an underground base. Once there, she not only saw cattle being mutilated and drained of their blood, but vats filled with human body parts. The abductees claimed they were fitted with implants through which the aliens could control their bodies. Benowitz was stunned by the woman's account. He began monitoring communication in the area and picked up what he believed to be transmissions from an alien spaceship. Benowitz tracked the UFO to a remote area on the New Mexico-Colorado border that he dubbed Dulce Base. UFO insider Thomas Costello claimed that he infiltrated Dulce in 1979 and smuggled out some shocking photographs. His pictures seem to show aliens conducting horrifying experiments on humans. Even more shocking, Costello says the human subjects had been abducted with the consent of the United States government.
Another theory is the fact that they're genetically engineering humans, that it could serve some purpose in altering our genetic code or the way that we evolve as human beings. My guess is they could potentially make a life form that they would like us to evolve into, let alone just try and make another lesser being evolve into what they're aiming to create.
In a separate incident, a US government employee, Phil Schneider, was helping to dig a labyrinth of tunnels below Dulce. Schneider claims his team inadvertently opened a large cavern where they stumbled upon a group of aliens experimenting on humans. A battle ensued. Though severely wounded, Schneider escaped, but a number of his colleagues were killed in the conflict. According to Schneider, the tunnels below Dulce are a fraction of what lies beneath the surface of the United States. UFO investigators believe the underground network may have been created by a highly advanced drilling craft called a subterrane. Operating like a submarine, the subterrane is propelled by nuclear power and bores through the earth, leaving massive tunnels in its wake.
I think when you talk about the sheer technological power in the 21st century that you would need, you start nearing kind of an impossibility to pull this off, and they were able to do this. That's an amazing feat.
Once completed, the tunnels were apparently traversed by trains that could reach possible speeds of 300 miles per hour. Experts believe a secret network of tunnels may connect some of the most sinister bases on the planet, like Dulce and Area 51. They may even lead to one of the strangest airports in America. Denver International Airport. This massive structure is the second largest airport in the world, covering 53 square miles. The terminals are decorated with art depicting oppressive military imagery and apocalyptic visions. The strange works of art only hint at what might be going on underground. The 21st of March 2013, a father and son noticed strange lights in the sky. The two tracked 3 glowing lights flying in a triangular formation in the sky above Denver Airport. Authorities at the airport refused to comment, and an FAA spokesperson insisted that nothing out of the ordinary had happened that night. Although the airport opened in 1995, construction underneath it has apparently never stopped. The buildings reach 8 stories underground, deep enough to withstand the force of an atomic bomb. Connecting the terminals and baggage area is a passenger shuttle system. But at Denver International, there is a second, completely separate rail system. This allegedly links to secret tunnels and may allow the movement of alien technology from sites like Dulce. Forbidden alien places could lurk in secret locations around the world. But is extraterrestrial life also penetrating the very heart of American power? One of the strangest stories about presidents and UFOs includes President Dwight D. Eisenhower. It's said that Eisenhower allegedly had 3 or 4 meetings with extraterrestrials in order to establish an open skies agreement with them. According to one account, an extraterrestrial may have penetrated hugely sensitive areas of the US government. His name was Valiant Thor. Thor allegedly worked at the Pentagon for 3 years, when he was codenamed the Stranger. To this day, the chilling nature of his work for the US government remains unknown. If Thor was an alien who managed to infiltrate the human world, might there be others? Others who are lurking, waiting, until it's decided that the time for hiding is over.
Los Angeles is a major UFO hotspot. The activity here is constant and seems to be escalating.
Los Angeles, California, the 21st of January 2013. The International Business Times printed the unsettling story of a UFO sighting over the San Fernando Valley. A man was taking photographs in his garden when he saw a police helicopter flying overhead. He quickly adjusted his camera lens and took a picture. Later, when reviewing his photos, he noticed a tiny object in the distance, high above the helicopter. Expert analysis of the picture revealed it to be a textbook example of a flying saucer. For decades, citizens of the Los Angeles area have reported an astonishing number of UFO sightings, higher than any other city in America. 1992, Topanga Canyon, Los Angeles County. A little after midnight, the police received a frantic call from a driver and his girlfriend on the Pacific Coast Highway. He claimed that a beam of light had appeared from the sky and surrounded his car, pulling the vehicle into the air. After a few moments, the light vanished and the car dropped back to Earth, leaving the couple frightened and shaken.
Topanga Canyon is a small community and it's a large park area. And on July 14, 1992, the skies must have opened up or something, some sort of portal, I don't know, but hundreds of UFOs were seen. I mean, to this day, I've talked to more than 20 separate adult witnesses who have confirmed the sighting on just that one evening alone.
Some believe that Los Angeles is a magnet for alien activity. And many UFO experts trace the Los Angeles alien phenomenon back to an often forgotten chapter of the Second World War. Unsealed case file. The Battle of Los Angeles. The 24th of February 1942. America had just entered the war. An unidentified aircraft suddenly appeared in the night sky over Los Angeles. Fearing a Japanese attack, anti-aircraft batteries opened fire.
The Battle over Los Angeles was an event in 1942 in which multiple witnesses observed an unidentified craft over LA. The military quickly went into action. They tried to figure out what the object was. They lit it up with their spotlights. They couldn't figure it out.
Witnesses watched in horror as the US Army fired over 1,000 rounds at the hovering UFO.
The Battle of Los Angeles is such an important case because as the military engaged this object, fired rounds at it, they weren't able to touch it.
As quickly as the UFO appeared, it vanished without trace. The infamous incident became known as the Battle of Los Angeles. The following morning, the Secretary of the Navy, Frank Knox, claimed it was a false alarm and that the UFO was, in fact, a weather balloon.
The Army's explanation was that it was a weather balloon. And of course, if you're firing that many artillery shells at a weather balloon and you can't bring it down, you've got a problem with your defense.
Is it possible that a highly trained American defense force launched an all-out assault on a weather balloon. Even more alarming, if this were a genuine UFO, could the aliens have interpreted this unprovoked aggression as an act of war? California is not the only American state to have recorded sightings of UFOs. There is also Texas.
I really do think there is sort of a base down there, just because of the huge number of reports. This is a major flat area, a hot spot.
Lubbock, 1951. 3 professors from Texas Tech photographed a fleet of UFOs. The incident became known as the Lubbock Lights. Stephenville, 2008. Over 30 witnesses, including the police, saw a mile-wide UFO fly overhead in the middle of the day. The incident received worldwide media coverage. But why is Texas the apparent focus of so much alien interest? The search for answers begins 60 miles northeast of the Mexican border, in the small town of Marfa. For over a century, residents have reported eerie, ghost-like lights in the sky. Many believe the lights to be extraterrestrial in origin. Unsealed case file. Marfa, Texas. 1957, Coronet magazine published a report on the Marfa Lights phenomenon, describing them as brightly glowing basketball-sized spheres floating above the ground. Scientists were quick to dismiss the phenomena as everyday car lights, appearing to float due to atmospheric reflections. But this explanation is met with skepticism in the UFO community for one simple reason. The Marfa Lights occur in a region called the Mitchell Flat, an area known for its rugged terrain and private property. Ufologists contend that traffic could never be the source of the enigmatic lights. Why are the authorities so keen to dismiss the Marfa Lights as an atmospheric anomaly? And could there be a price to pay for covering up the apparent presence of aliens in the Texas skies? As it turns out, there is. Unsealed case file. The Corpus Christi object. The 24th of August 1974, US Air Defense radar detected a UFO speeding northwest from the Gulf of Mexico towards Corpus Christi at an impossible speed of 2,500 miles per hour. At the same time, a small passenger plane took off from El Paso, bound for Mexico City. For unknown reasons, the UFO suddenly changed course and collided with the plane over Cuyami in Mexico. The US military located the wreckage of the plane, but no UFO was found. Nearby, a Mexican army jeep was also discovered, with the lifeless bodies of 4 soldiers inside it. There were no signs of trauma. They did not appear to have fired their weapons. The official cause of death was asphyxiation. The close proximity of Dayton and Corpus Christi is alarming. Just outside Corpus Christi is the Naval Air Station, Trow Field. Dayton is part of metropolitan Houston, which is also home to mission control for NASA's space shuttle flights. Is it possible that the military and space exploration facilities are attracting UFOs? At the time of the Dayton incident in 1980, NASA was preparing to launch the first space shuttle. Some experts believe extraterrestrials are trying to send a message that would bring an abrupt halt to any further space exploration.
Maurice Chatelain, who was director of NASA Communications, became famous in UFO circles because he was the first NASA insider to talk publicly about UFOs and say NASA knew about the presence of UFOs. It was NASA's most closely held secret, and Maurice Chatelain proved right of it.
America is riddled with UFO hotspots. But it isn't the only country that has experienced this phenomenon. In 2008, the British government declassified decades of eyewitness accounts of UFOs. The sheer volume of the information was overwhelming.
From the 1950s to the termination of the British government's UFO project, around 12,000 UFO sightings were investigated.
Nick Pope is a former official with the British government's UFO desk, a department dedicated to the investigation of UFO sightings. The incidents date from the Second World War to the modern day. Many of these alleged UFO encounters are unpredictable and too close for comfort.
The Civil Aviation Authority and the Ministry of Defence have on their case files several instances where there were near collisions between UFOs and commercial aircraft. In one instance, the pilot had time only to shout, "Look out, look out," before the UFO rapidly passed. Fortunately, there wasn't a collision and the UFO narrowly missed the aircraft. There were perhaps half a dozen or a dozen cases of near collision between UFOs and commercial aircraft.
These incidents bear an uncanny resemblance to the Corpus Christi collision, but some believe the similarities between Britain and Texas go beyond near misses in the air. In Britain, aliens also seem to target military bases, posing a serious threat to national security. One event in particular has achieved legendary status among British UFO investigators: the Rendlesham forest incident.
Over a series of nights in December 1980, United States Air Force personnel based at Bentwaters and Woodbridge in the United Kingdom saw UFOs. On the first night of activity, numerous witnesses, including John Burroughs and Jim Penniston, saw strange lights in the forest which were unlike anything they'd seen before.
The two airmen set out to investigate. They discovered the flashing lights were emanating from a large triangular-shaped UFO resting on the forest floor.
Jim Penniston approached the UFO and at one point actually touched the side of the craft. He's described how this touching of the craft led to some effect where he was jolted and received what he can only really describe as some sort of telepathic download. Later, he felt a compulsion to write in his police notebook pages and pages of ones and zeros. These ones and zeros have been theorized to be binary code, and many people speculate that this is a message of some sort. There's huge controversy about the binary code and the Rendlesham message, and indeed there's a lot of discussion and debate about whether this is a message, and if it is, what this message says, what it all means.
Decoding the message may reveal why aliens seem to target hotspots like Britain and Texas. There are those that contend that both the United States and the UK undergo intense UFO activity. But what would be the purpose of such missions? The answer may lie on the opposite side of the world, inside the People's Republic of China. Hangzhou, the 7th of July 2010. Thousands watched in stunned disbelief as a flaming UFO streaked across the night sky over the city. Many captured vivid images of the object. The authorities immediately closed Yelshan International Airport, thrusting the story into the worldwide media spotlight. The government pledged to launch a full investigation into the incident. Ultimately, the findings were never disclosed to the public. A week later, a second mass UFO sighting occurred in the city of Chongqing. Local residents were terrified. The renowned Chinese astronomer Wang Xichao has been studying UFO sightings in China for nearly 40 years. He believes UFO activity in China will only continue to increase. And according to a recent public statement, he doesn't rule out the possibility that the aliens might be hostile. If they are friendly to us, we can promote the human being civilization through exchange and cooperation with them. If they are not, as long as we prepared for their invasion, we can beat them back based on their weaknesses. After all, they are life entities.